Hello guys, welcome to an OB15 tier list. I'm relatively a newer streamer, so I don't know how much of you guys are going to watch this, but I do think I have some relevant information on most of these gods. I've give or take played every single god in the game at least once, if not twice. There's obviously some games that I've played a lot more. I'm not no high, deity ranked guy. I barely play ranked if I'm being honest with you. I've recently started playing ranked. I think I'm like low gold right now. After the reset, I think I've played like 2 games since after the reset. I got reset, and I literally before the reset, I think there was like 4 days left, 4 days before the reset, and I started from base bones amber, and that's what I was doing. So this tier list is mostly based around, I want to say, like your casuals and earlier Smite 2 ranked players. So I don't know, casuals slash early ranks Smite 2. We'll see if that works. Yeah. So we're just going to rip off a quick tier list. I'll kind of explain why I'm putting most people in where. There is no aspects on this website, as you guys can see. I wish I could make one on Smite Source, because as you can also see, I'm missing a couple gods here for some weird reason. They're missing Cupid, and I think they're missing Wukong. Yeah, just those two. So, which is really, really stupid. But anyways, we can kind of start off from the top, and we can kind of figure it out. As I said, make sure you guys leave in comments what you guys agree with, disagree with, all that other fun stuff. I feel like I've kind of hit most things, and I will kind of organize them based on their aspects as well, just so you guys are aware. But we'll kind of just hit it off right away with Achilles. I think Achilles is probably B tier. Between aspect and non-aspect, he's a good pick. He can be countered, as you guys can see. S is must ban pick. A is great picks. B is good picks but can countered. C is situational, and Rip is don't play. Again, this is all based off my own understanding of what I personally, but there's also like a lot of other into like stuff. I watch Weekend, I watch Fine Okay, I watch a lot of guys, see it, and I look up a lot of stats too. But Achilles, I'd say B. He's pretty good in the jungle. I'd say he's like average in the jungle. I would never be really like picking him top. There's a lot of other gods right now I picked way before Achilles, and I think the same thing for solo. Like Achilles is great if you have a lot of pressure, but with his ult, I think still being bugged. I'm not sure if it still is, but if it is still bugged, it kind of hurts him because if you miss an alt or it doesn't actually connect with the alt, then you're kind of just sitting in a tight spot and you could be effed, right? So that is where I would put Achilles personally. Agni, I think Agni I'd probably go in A tier right now. I think Agni is a great pick, whether you pick Aspect or you picked normal Agni. So Aspect, I still think he's better in jungle and ADC, obviously better than mid. And then Agni without Aspect, he's mid lane. It's pretty straightforward. You build your cooldown build, and I think you're just bopping off a lot of really easy damage that normally you can't really complain about. And it's the same thing with Aspect. He still hits really hard. Yeah, he's been through the ringer with a few nerfs and stuff, but I don't think that's really going to change too much about him as of right now. So that's why Agni goes in A. Aladdin, S tier. Um, this might be a controversial pick. To me personally, it's easy to beat his ult. I think that's where a lot of the necessity comes in, is learning how to beat his ult. But he's also been through the ringer since he released. He has such a unique kit when he first came to Smite 2, and he's basically been an S tier. I think every patch that I've ever seen right now. I might put him into A down once or twice here. You never know, but I don't know. To me, he's a must banner pick. Any of my ranked games, I try to ban him if I'm banning, which I never even get the choice to ban, but I would ban him every single game in ranked. He's annoying. You build strength in the jungle, and he just basically like once 4 items online, he just basically solos the whole team. The other thing you need to know about him is just make sure not to just rush right into the early game, because that will mess you up. He's not a strong fighter in the early game. He really isn't. So yeah, I'm not really sure where to put him other than S. So we'll move on to the next. So we have Ama. I think Ama's C. This might be controversial, but I think Ama's C, even with her aspect. Yeah, I don't think she's all that great. Like, to me, she's just a PvE god. You want someone that'll clear objectives and just shred through things, Ama's your guy. But I still think there's even might be a couple gods that are even better at that than her. But Ama just shreds. She didn't really get a buff from any of the new items. A lot of people have been trying her in solo with non-aspect to try and do like with the vital amplifier and stuff like that, and the regrowth striders. It works, but it's not something I'd pick right away. So that's why she's in C. Onhor, he's kind of a tough one too. I think I'd put him in A. Yeah, I think Onhor is A. Aspect might be, I think, slightly bit lower than normal on her, but on her's passive with his pen shred, it's absolutely critical. Like it's so good, such a good hunter. It's not such a good hunter. Like there's still a couple hunters in my opinion that are above him, but he's very very good at what he does. He has the stun, he has the leap, he has CC immunity in his ult. Um, he hits hard. He has the shred, the protection shred, so he can really hit on some tanks, which I think there's very prevalent tanks right now in the meta that actually are really really good. And you can also get out of it without having to beads, right? So it does suck that you have to waste an ult to get rid of maybe someone else's ult, but sometimes it's just how it works. But yeah, I think for those reasons, Honor is like an easy A pick. Anubis is controversial. So I think Anubis is B. However, I could totally understand if people want to put him up in A. So in early ranks and casuals, actually maybe I think I just put him in A. Yeah, I think I just put Anubis in A, actually, now that I think about it. So in early ranks, Anubis stomps. He's a pup stomp god. I don't care what anybody says. The dude, he doesn't even need his lifesteal online to do to like increase his tankiness and stuff. Like he just wrecks. I think he's very strong in early games. People don't know how to deal with him. The biggest thing that I have about him is people are still trying to build around lifesteal, and I don't think he actually does all that great off lifesteal. I think you just want to kind of build like your standard intelligence build with throwing a lifesteal item here and there, sure, but you don't need to build all lifesteal, like 4 lifesteal items, to hopefully make his kit work. I think he's great without it. His abilities are very easy to hit, other than his ult, which is kind of free flow. But like you wrap, you 2, you 1, and basically they're dead. And you can kind of like 1v3 fights, no problem, especially in early ranks. That's Anubis. Aphrodite. Everybody thought she was going to do good. I think she's good in the mid lane for damage. Average, probably. I'd say probably a bit better than average. Her builds are kind of meme. But I think I'd probably put Afro right now probably in B tier. I think you can still pick her. She's still really, really good in middle. You can play her solo and support as well. I would avoid jungle and carry, obviously. But I think support's probably her weaker role. Try not to pick her too much in support. She's really hard to play in support. And the reason I think that is the case is you have to basically stick to somebody. Like either your carry or your jungle if they're hard carrying, or even a solo. But you basically just have to stick to that person the whole time. Your Afro. And I think that's where she kind of falls off. And the items don't really benefit her. Yeah, she can use a lot of them, but it doesn't really make her like a god tier anything really. So I think mid tier, if you're going like straight mid tier, I think I'd put her in A. But if you're including support and solo, I think she has to go in B. Apollo aspect is I think Apollo's A. Yeah, I think Apollo's A. Apollo aspect would I think be like slightly bit lower if I had the actual option here to pick him, but I think Apollo's A. Basically straightforward. There's nothing bad about the guy. I think Apollo is just A tier. Like he's got the cross map ult, so he can split push. He's got the knock up on it. He's got the mesmerize. Pretty easy escape. He hits pretty hard. Yeah, I don't really think there's much to be said about Apollo. Ares, I think Ares is S tier. I think Ares finally outbeat Sobek in my mind. I think like I could argue with him for A, like very top of A, even like if there could be an A plus tier. I probably will start putting A plus tiers when there gets to be more gods, but I think Ares just sticks with his S. Ares is just good. Like he works so well in the items that came out with these last patch. You got Sanguine Lash, you got Mystical Mail, you got Contagion, you got all these little buffs to all the other items that they have. Like he just works so well, and they're just tanky and damagey. Like I've had games where Ares is mitigating 80 to 100k damage and still top damage at like 50k. Like the dude's insane. You want to be playing aspect or non-aspect, non-aspect over aspect, because if you need to be able to hit your chains, and that protections that you get on the two is it's too valuable. It's also you get a really big heal on the two. A lot of people don't realize it, but when you push the two, it's like I can't remember 40, 30, 40 health per second, and I think it lasts for like 6 seconds or 8 seconds, 6 to 8 seconds. So you get like between 2 and 300 HP every time you push that 2 button. It's actually really, really good. But yeah, I think Ares is a must ban or pick. I'm not saying he will fit into every situation, but I do honestly think he might. Artemis to me is B. Good hunter, average hunter. She's got a lot of stuff. Her normal kit is significantly better than her aspect. I think her aspect has taken quite a bit of a dive. I think her aspect's good in one particular occurrence, and that's jungle, and that's it. Other than that, I would never play her aspect anywhere else. And I still think the only reason I play her in jungle aspect is because I like it. I enjoy it personally. It's a personal thing. But Artemis without the aspect is just way better. Like you have the cripple, and then you have the lockdown on your I think it's your 1. Yeah, your 1 with your root. So I think aspect is B, but she can be countered very easily. And right now, Smite 2 is a diving game, and people are just getting dove, and Artemis she can't do anything. Once she has her boar, and basically you eat her beads. She just kind of run her down. Athena, I think Athena's B tier as well. Mm, yeah, I might even put her down into C tier right now. No, I think Athena's gonna be. Like I don't think she's in A by any means, but I can see your argument for C tier. And I don't think she's A tier right now. I don't know what's going on. I thought the items were going to be really good for her. Before the meta, I thought she was actually really good. Um, she was kind of like that under pick that you pick, and you had to be pretty good with her abilities. But I hate the fact what really hurts her is you have like someone like just compare her to Aladdin. Aladdin has an instant dash over, above, and down below with his dash and jump, right? Athena, you have to charge up to dash. Like that's just annoying. It's just stupid. It should be changed. I don't know what it could be changed to, but it needs to be changed. You need to add a bunch of stuff to her kit, or maybe that an aspect. To be fair, her aspect is just trash. Don't ever play it. Like her aspect sucks. I made a video recently on it. Um, I think I played aspect. I want to say jungle, maybe even support. I don't even remember which one I played, but it just her aspect is just bad. You give up movement speed, you give up protections, and you give up shielding your teammates. So never worth it in my opinion. Awelix, I don't know. I get a lot of backlash from this. I think Awelix is C tier. I think she's hyper situational. She's very strong, but she's been through the ringer and nerfed so many times that her kit is just she doesn't really do the same damage that she used to. She's still really strong. I'm not sitting there saying that she won't. She'll 100 to 0 you late game, 100%. But then when she 100 to 0 one god, that's all she has, and then she just gets basically picked off and killed. But I think she's very hyper situational. So like you can pick into a Bacchus, Bellona, actually maybe not Bellona, Cerberus, Bacchus, anybody who has a leap, Scylla, you can pick her into Scylla, which is really funny. Neith, you can pick her into Neith. Odin, like she has that situation where she can just grab people out of her ults, which is very very annoying. Uller, and I think that's really prevalent because Uller I think is an S tier as well, but we'll get into that when we get down to him. But yeah, I don't think you should be playing him. I don't think you should be picking him. I think there's a lot of better junglers before that. Bacchus, in my opinion, probably B tier, maybe even C tier. Okay, so Bacchus, normal. I think no, I think B tier. I want to say situational, but I think she's B tier. I think he's B tier. He's pretty highly aggressive. He can come off with aspect or non-aspect. So aspect he hits really hard. So you can be a very aggressive support, and if you're not playing aggressive support, you obviously don't pick aspect. Then he's still pretty good. He's very very annoying in the earlier ranks and the casuals, but later in the game he does fall off quite heavily, and you kind of just destroy him. Maybe I do put him in C. No, I think I keep him in B for now. I think Bacchus is deserved a B. Baron is hard to place. So if I'm going straight off Baron, no aspect, I think he's like C, D, maybe even Rip. Don't play it. Like I don't think it's good. I think basically if you're going Baron aspect, I think it's a great pick. I would rather see a Baron aspect in my mid lane than a lot of other gods right now. Like almost basically any one of these gods. Actually, I probably move them up in here. Way more than Anubis. Way more than a lot of gods. I think his aspect is way, 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 way strong. The only thing that he does lack is a little bit of CC, so he does kind of suffer to that dive meta. But I think he's very, very strong. Bellona aspect A tier. Bellona non-aspect is probably B tier, but I think right now with the solo meta going on, I think you basically want to play Bellona aspect in solo lane, and I think she just kind of wrecks. You build Vandal Amplifier on her, you build a few more items on her, like either it's the newly buffed Golden Blade, or you can even go into like the Sanguine Mystical Male thing. I don't really think that matters, but she's gonna tear it up. I don't think she's top 5 solo. Oh, she might be. She might be actually. I think Bellona's very, very strong solo right now. Capricorn. Borderline S tier for me. I think Capricorn's top. Like he destroys solo. He's terrifying in solo. He's terrifying in support. He's just straight freaking annoying. The dude has so much CC, and he's just genuinely a raid boss in my opinion. Like the dude in solo, you build a damage at him at first. You basically can show super aggression and kill people. Um, or you can go tankier and support and you show more aggression. And basically, if you have your carry and your team backing you up, you're gonna team wipe people. Like Capricorn's just that strong. He's so overtuned right now, and I love him. He's my favorite god from Smite 1, so I think he's a great pick right now. Cerberus. I think Cerberus is a good pick. A lot of people are gonna be like, well, Cerberus has anti-heal. I don't think it matters. I think personally, I place normal Cerberus over Aspect. I think Aspect Cerberus is down in C tier, if not even Rip. I think Cerberus right now is pretty good. He can be countered quite easily. With a few gods, they just leap out of Assault or something when they see it coming because it is a bit of a large charge up. But I think the Aspect is just not worth it for the breath time. It's good and it does a lot of damage, but over the long run, you can stun him out of it, and there's just so many things that can go wrong in the Aspect Cerberus form that I don't think is worth it. Where normal Cerberus, you pick them up and you can put them to whatever location you want. Like you can pick them up, jump, and leap them into a tower, right? Like that's the benefit of that is them either having to burn their beads or burn their jump to get away, and I think that's too valuable. Kernunos. I think Kernunos is also a B. And I think that's kind of like the midpoint. I think Aspect, if you can play him well in the jungle, he might be A tier. I think he's very, very strong. But I think the normal Kernunos is probably lower B tier, if not C tier. Yeah, like I don't see how I could ever put him. I want to say like Kernunos might even be C tier. So, but I don't have a D tier here, so I think B tier is a relatively good location for him. So Cernunos is good. Aspect Jungle, I think I put him higher. If you can cancel his horn dashes, like an AA cancel and stuff like that, he'll hit like an absolute truck, and he puts so much pressure in the early game jungle with Aspect. It is absolutely insane how much damage he can do, and pressure he puts. Normal Kernos, he just does his thing. He whips his thing out in front. You build Vital Amplifier, you build an AA build, you can go Devour's Gauntlet, whatever you want, and it kind of just does Kernunos things. Just does Kernunos things. Then you have Chalk. Chalk is not S tier, but I think he's right up there with Capricorn. He's Chalk. You just Chalk OP. Pretty simple. You build full damage if you're going mid lane and you just absolutely destroy people, or you go solo lane and you go hybrid build or full tank, and he just survives to tell the tale. Like the dude is just absolutely OP as hell right now. I love him. I think he's an amazing god in all roles. But yeah, I think that's where he's a great pick. Right there, right up next. He's in top 5 solo for sure. Then you have Don's. I think Don's. I think he's about the same as Hernanos. He's kind of a hard one for me to pick place. I feel like Don's is B tier. He could be going down to S tier or A tier if you consider Aspect. So if you consider the Aspect, sorry, not S tier, A tier. So Aspect Don's is A tier. For like the sheer capability of split pushing. There's a build going around with Vital Amplifier, Poly, Rod, Chronos, Nimble Ring, and another one, I think Xe or something shit like that. If you have someone to tank, like he just split pushes. It's actually insane. Like he'll by himself with clones take a full tower without any kind of buffs on. It's absolutely retarded. He just absolutely shreds towers. However, I think I'm going to put him down in B tier just strictly because of the non-aspect version. The non-aspect version is good, but everybody plays your aspect. So maybe I do put him in A tier for aspect. I think I do. I think Don's aspect, like I said, this is where Don's will go in aspect. I think he's a great pick. He split pushes right now, and that's kind of like the big meta right now is split pushing. I think he's at the bottom of A, but I still think he's in A. Fenrir. God, is he an annoying god. I think Fenrir is a solid B. I haven't seen much of an aspect. I have played his aspect quite a bit, and there's a solo build out there that I think can be really good. I don't know who it was that mentioned it. I want to say it was Fine OK that mentioned it in one of his streams. But very, very strong aspect builds in solo lane. Like you can basically just run at people and not like die. Not saying like you absolutely run and just kill people. Like you're still gonna get countered by some people like Chalk, Capricorn, maybe even Hercules right now and stuff like that. Because he's still Fenrir. Fenrir is cool. He's okay in support. And he's pretty good in the jungle, but I still think he's easily countered. I get it. People like hate him because he grabs people, but if you're actually grouping up as a team, he just kind of falls over. There's nothing really much he can do. And there's a lot of gods, in my opinion, that can one-on-one him in the jungle right now that are quite successful. So, but yeah, I think for that reason, Fenrir B. Ganesh is A. Aspect or non-aspect. I think non-aspect is better than, well, I don't think they're better. I think non-aspect is obviously your support build. I think he's a great pick. There's nothing wrong with picking Ganesha. He's kind of like that standard support. He is below Ares and Sobek and stuff like that, but I think he's a great support. Like he's probably still in that top 5 support area because he is quite high, and I don't think there's very many supports in the game, but he's still very good. And then Ganesha Aspect, I think, is probably closer down into the B to A tier. Could be A tier as well. I think people just don't know how to use the Aspect quite well with the whole combo. I still think it's very strong. People just kind of throw down their ultimate and just hope people walk into it. I think that kind of hurts him a little bit. Geb. Geb's hard for me. I love Geb, but I think Geb's C. I think Geb is a solid C situational god. I don't even know if situational is the way to put him. Like, I'd probably put him in like a tier above, but his aspect just blatantly sucks. Um, I don't think it's one of the worst aspects in the game. I've probably said that a few times. I think his aspect is okay. I've actually found a recent thing in the jungle that you can play. If you're always in their face, you basically save your two. So you basically blink in, you ult, and then you use your two, and then it cools it down. And hopefully, if you have a fast enough cooldown, you can actually two multiple times in a fight. Even if you have Staff of Mirrodin, which I don't think is a great item right now, but you can kind of even two and three times in a fight. So he does do quite a bit of damage. I just think he's so situational and memey that that's just the way he is. I also think you give up a lot of potential, uh, um, fighting in the early game with a Gambit as a support. Guan Yu, I think he's underrated as hell. Um, Probably somewhere in there. I think Guan Yu's overhyped. I think he's a great god. I think he's a lot of fun to play, and I think his ult is really, really annoying. But honestly, his healing does not counteract everything in the game, and a lot of people will sit there and be like, healing gods counteract everything. There's no way to heal. I can agree with you on some of that, but I do think Guan Yu is another one of those gods that if you just focus him, he just falls over. Um, he's pretty simple to play against. Yes, he burns beads, which is very annoying, but I think he's not as impactful. Like, yes, he can stun, but you can leap out of stuns, and then he has to kind of like follow you, and then you get away from combat. I don't know, but yeah, and that's my own personal opinion. Oh, sorry guys, I had to sneeze there. Yeah, Guan Yu's B tier. I would not put him any higher, aspect or not. I think the problem is the meta right now is all those new items that came in, Sanguine, Mystical Mail, Contagion, and all of those items are not they work on Guan, but they're not strong on Guan. Aspect, you want to build intelligence, right, to get those heals off, and that's how that works. And unfortunately, without that, it's just Guan Yu just goes down lower. Hades, I think actually Hades is pretty good. He's not S tier. I don't think he's top solo anymore. He used to be top solo for probably 3 or 4 patches back. Like I'd say between like I think OB 10 and maybe 13, maybe 10 to 13, 10 to 12, 10 to 13. Pretty strong solo. I think he's kind of received enough. The items don't really benefit much, and the anti-heal did hurt him. Like dropping down his healing did hurt him a little bit, quite a bit actually. But I still think he's very good. The problem with him, and the reason I only have him at maybe I do have him B. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do, guys. Oh crap, what did I do? No. Well, that's not good. Hang on here. Let me pop out of full screen here. Oh, there we go. Woohoo! Thought I lost my tier list. That would have been fun. So I think Hades is casual low ranks. I think he's B tier. Higher ranks, I think he's A tier. So maybe I put him at the top of B tier here. So Hades full damage. Mid lane can still pop if you're working in the poly procs with it. The problem with him, reason I put him at B instead of A, is if you go full tank Hades, he's actually an exceptionally strong front line. Yes, he does get things, but burning beads is what he's good at, and he does that the whole time. And I think that's very, very valuable in a game like this, where everybody wants to buy beads to try not to get them burnt, but then Hades just kind of pops in, silences, and burns everybody's beads, which is what makes him very, very strong as a front line. So I think he goes into B. If he gets a little better and he makes his early game a little bit more potent, I think he'll probably move up to A tier. Hakate, I think B tier for Hakate. Maybe even C tier. No, B tier. Unfortunately, I don't have a D tier. Maybe my next ban list, I'll have to figure out something to maybe make another tier so that we can get like a. Because I do think there's probably only a few gods in the RIP don't play. So we'll see how that goes. But Hakate is a good pick. I think she's very hard to play. And a lot of the items right now, the tank items, are physical damage. Like they deal physical damage. So her shield is magical, protects her against magical damage, which just doesn't really do much. Because you have Sanguine, which is physical damage, I believe. Mystical Mail, which is physical damage, comes off from. A lot of those items right now are all physical. I'm not sure about Contagion. I've never actually thought about it, but all of those items, right? And it's cool that Hakate It doesn't really benefit, and I think her aspect kind of brings her down quite a bit. I don't think her aspect's all that good. I think it's just annoyance. But yeah, I think Akate sits in your B tier pretty standard. Hercules, I think he's in the higher echelon of A tier. I don't think he's S tier, and I don't think he should be banned yet. Um, Now, if you're asking me pre-nerf, Hercules was S tier. I think you had to ban him. Now, I think he's A tier, and I think he's very good at the game in solo and jungle. Jungle full damage, he absolutely bops. You know, he has some of the highest burst potential in the game. Um, but having the reduced thing on his 3 does hurt him a little bit for solo. You know, he benefits really well into regrowth striders, into the sanguine mystical thing. If you can hit his 2 is so easy to hit in Smite 2, it's insane. Like the 2-1 combo is so ridiculous, easy to hit. You 2-1 ult him on spot, and that's basically half HP if you're solo. If you're jungle, that's a full kill. So I think Hercules is a great pick. Hu Yi, I think Hu Yi's so good. I think he is so good. Do I think he's one of the best carries in the game right now? Maybe. I don't know, man. I think he's right up here in A tier. I don't know. The stuff that they added to Hu Yi, I think, is insane. I've talked about it a bunch of my videos. I think the guy needs to be toned down a little bit. I think the only negative thing is his ricochet doesn't go as long as it used to, or maybe it does, but I don't notice it. But it's insane. Like he can ricochet 4 times if you go int, and all of his like status effects are increased if you have more int. His ult gets a shield or a wall which blocks people, which a lot of people don't even know, and that ult is so strong, right? So I think Hui easily gets A spot, and I think his aspect's just as good in my opinion. Mulan might be my first rip don't play god. I don't know. I hmm, I hate putting Mulan into rip don't play, but I think that's honestly where she deserves and can be played. The problem with her is her passive takes so long to build that it is so hard to actually play her. Like early game, sure, she's got a lot of potential, like Hercules, and you know other gods. B in mid game, she's really high potential too. But late game, she feels like a wet paper bag. She's just a nuisance, and even then, like you just kind of let her ultimate do her thing, and her hook, you just hope she doesn't hit you. And that reasons, I don't think Mulan's worth playing. I know a lot of people will find this iffy. Like I could argue to put her situational, but I really don't think Mulan should be played right now. Huntsbats is A tier. I don't know where he is in the jungle thing here. I'd probably say somewhere in the middle here. I think he's top 5 jungle right now. I think Huntsbat's aspect is very, very strong. I think even non-aspect is very, very strong. Um, Either which way you put it, I think him and himself is a great pick. You pick him, you'll win games. He has the stun with the aspect on, I think it's the 2, and his non-aspect, he just hits like a truck. So it's pretty straightforward. Izanami. I hate this god. I think I'm putting Izanami in C. People may find that offensive. I don't care. I think Izanami is a god that falls over late game and just kind of dies. Like she has no CC. She has a little bit of a dash and a run, but that dash thing is so easily countable, especially now with the meta being so prevalent with Sanguine Lash and Mystical Mail. You basically have 1, if not 2 people running those items, or at least one of those items the whole time, and basically the tick damage just pops her up. It's kind of why I'm going to have Loki so low as well, which Loki's right there. Actually, we'll just pop him into. Actually, no, Loki I think could be a little higher. But Izanami just, I don't know, she just falls off. She's so easy to kill late game that I just don't think she's worth playing. The one thing she has for her is early game pressure. She will out pressure anybody in lane, and that's like top tier. Like she will literally out pressure solo by herself without even a support there, no issue. But mid to late game, she just kind of falls over, and her one trick pony is I can dash away. That's what she has. Jin Wei. I think Jin Wei is C tier. No, B tier. I think Jin Wei's B tier. Nah, C tier. She's tough for me. You know, I think I'd pick Jinwei over Izanami. I do think Jinwei kind of benefits off that crit meta right now, and I think we're kind of moving away from the crit meta, which is very, really nice for me because I was getting really tired of the crit. But I still think she's very, very strong. But yeah, I think she'd be B, C, honestly, maybe even C tier. I actually think Jinwei may be C tier right now. I don't know. If she is, she's at the very bottom of B and the very top of C. Like, she's very, very iffy for me. Kali aspect is falling down quite a bit, in my opinion. Kali non-aspect, I think, is still a pretty good jungler. However, I don't think she's top 5 anymore. I think we're gonna put Kali in A tier. Non-aspect. So if I was to include her aspect, I think she'd probably be like between A, top B, below A. She's good in the carry role. I just think there's a lot of ways to counter her. It's the problem is also the games are not going as long. She takes like 30 minutes to get online to like hard carry a game, and even if she gets to the hard carry, I find that people get really overconfident in her, and she goes solo, and she just kind of gets destroyed. Um, I also think there's a few gods that do kind of counter her right now that are very high prevalent in the meta, so that part does help in itself. Um, Capri. I think Capri's B. Much to people, a lot of people will complain about Capri. Sitting there saying there's a lot of executes in the game. Honestly, there's what, three? You have Sobek, you have Thanatos, and you have. I think there's a third one. But for the life of me, I can't remember who it is right now. Nope, can't remember it. I think Capri's actually pretty good. She can be easily countered, obviously, Thanatos, and you have um, your Thanatos Sobek picks, which Sobek is pretty prevalent in the meta right now. He'll basically always be a great pick, so I do think that's why Kepri falls down a little bit. But I still think Kepri Aspect is basically who you play. You don't ever play non-aspect. I think Kepri non-aspect is stupid. Kepri Aspect is amazing. The amount of damage you can put off too with that build or with that character, and just holding him in spot is it's like a Fenrir. You just hold him in spot, very, very beneficial. I actually think I like Kepri more than I like Guan Yu and Achilles. Actually, I think Achilles is kind of down here. And Aphrodite. Um, Definitely like him more than Athena. I don't know. I think Kepler's pretty good. The revive, if you're pretty good with them, remembering to push it and then run away and let them die, that can save lots of people's lives. I think Kepler's a great pick. I just think don't get over in your head about it. I just think that you need to remember that Kepler's 2 is really good with clearing. Her grabbing to hold to do some damage is good. Her ult's good, but you need to remember that her ult can be countered by a couple gods, which are very heavily playable right now. Thanatos is pretty good playable, and so is Sobek. A lot of people like both those gods. Kalkin, B tier. Do I put Kook in A tier? Or do I put Kook in B tier? Hmm. I think Kook is B tier. Better than Afro, for sure. But I would definitely pick Anubis over him. I'd pick Agni. I'd pick Baron over him. Yep, I think B tier sounds good. The big thing with Cuckoo is he has no CC immunity. Yes, a lot of people will be like, well, you use your dash in your whirlwind and you get to dash away. That's cool. You still get caught up really easily. There's a lot of gods right now that are being played. Aladdin, Ares can counter him. Capricorn can stop him with his ult. Chalk can stop him with his ult. Like a lot of these top tier gods, Hu Yi can stun him. Baron can pull him. Anubis can wrap him. Like a lot of these gods in the AT, you guys see the kind of thing is that they can CC a god. Kukulkan just simply cannot CC a god. He just does a lot of damage, and I think he's really good in the B category because of the fact that Poly is so prevalent in the meta, and he sneezes on you, and he does an absolutely ridiculous amount of damage. Loki is B tier as well. I don't know, it's Loki. Loki aspect I'd never touch, just so you guys are aware. But Loki is, he's a good jungle pick. He got his invis. I do think they can see you a little bit easier now with the whole sanguine mystical mystical male thing. So he does kind of like have that little negative thing, kind of like Izanami does. But I think he has the ult to get away, which is really handy. He can also ult into combat. He also does, he's a jungler with high decent damage for assassins. So I think Loki fits very well in the B tier. Medusa, situational. I really wish she would get out of situational. I would prefer Medusa over an Izanami any day of the week. But I do think Medusa sucks because there's just so many walls. You have Thor wall, you have Ymir wall, you have Yamoja wall, you have Hu Yi wall now. Like those are just 4 walls right off the top of the thing. And it's not hard to just stand in front of Medusa. Yes, there's been games where, people have bopped off and absolutely just destroyed with her. But overall, I think she just falls apart. And I think the dash is really what's killing her. They need to do something with her kit. I feel like she's right in that middle between AA and ability, so I'm not really sure. They need to pick a direction with her. Mercury. Man, I love Mercury. This might be super controversial. Actually, no. So I think Mercury is A tier pick. Easy done. Like easy picked. The problem with Mercury that I'm having right now is Mercury has a bug. And I don't know if they know about it. I'm pretty sure they do, which I think I'm going to put him down to B tier for it. Because I'm literally getting so frustrated with it. So Mercury has the easiest, the fastest clear in the jungle. He hurts with building full crit, and if you go into avatars and stuff like that, he can one tap you with like 2,500 crits. Like the dude hits like a truck. My biggest problem with him right now is his dashes. They are bugged. I don't care what anybody says. I've watched people play him and not get a single bug a game. I've watched Final K. I've watched Weekend play him. I am not even shitting you. I played with him yesterday. I think 60% of my dashes were bugged, and it was just I was go spinning, and then they just killed me. They need to fix that bug, and I think as soon as they fix that bug, he shoots up right to like top of A tier. He's very very strong. Merlin Aspect, probably the strongest mage in the game right now. Yep, I think Merlin is likely the best mage in the game right now, other than one other one maybe that I'd put above him. But Merlin's A tier. Non-aspect, it's absolutely dominating. You know, you go cooldown build, and he just does so much damage. They buffed his non-aspect and nerfed his aspect to kind of like counterbalance him. Um, but yeah, I think Merlin is absolutely cracked. If you can kind of get his combos right off the bat, and you can kind of, he has a little bit early game, not as much pressure in the early game, but that mid game, he just cooks people. I played a game the other day, like I think just a couple of his abilities. Like I literally could not go into the fight because he was doing 800 to 1,000 damage and like no problem. I only had like 2,000 HP. Like I was just, and I couldn't even get into a fight because he was just throwing his abilities out. So Merlin definitely top mage spec, very easily done. Mordred. Mordred got hurt. Still pretty tanky with Shield of Regrowth and all these other ones that really, really help. Or not Shield, sorry, Boots of Regrowth and Mystical Mail and Sanguine Lash and Void Shield and stuff like that. But Shield, the Runic Shield is really what hurt him, and that's really what really based his kit off everything. His aspect, I think, is worse because it kind of just doesn't do anything. So I think his aspect's like probably in the C, if not rip, don't play. But I think Mordred's probably lower B tier. Maybe even C tier. No, I think I'll put Mordred B tier for now. Low end of B tier though. Yeah, basically for all those reasons. Neith, I think Neith is cracked. I think she is probably one of the best A lanes right now. I don't know where I'd put her. I think Baron's better than her. I think she's better than Anubis by a mile. I think Neith's somewhere in here. Neith, carry has fallen off. I think Huyi's kind of taken her spot. I think there's a few other, carries that are better than her, like on her personally. I think on her's a little bit better. So I don't know, maybe even put her like this, maybe like that. I don't know. But Neith middle, I swear to God, I thought it was the bug for the longest time, but she does so much damage with her 1-2-3 combo if you build a full intelligence build. It is insane. Like you one shot people. And it doesn't matter. People will sit there and be like, well, she's easy to just dodge it. It's like when you're in a 5v5 or a 4v5 fight, there's abilities going off everywhere. It is so hard to see what the hell is going on. I know you can turn down some visual things. Like I turn down my own abilities so I don't see them as much. And I turn up theirs right to max. But it's still really hard to see Nice like 3 and or her 2, just her little bubble in the ground. It hits for like 600 to 800 damage late game. Like that is so much damage on a jungler or a mid or a carry. It hurts. Neath middle, must play, Neath carry. Probably low B tier. Nemesis. She has been dominating the meta. I wouldn't say dominating the meta, but ever since the anti-heal thing. So I think she's A tier. I don't know if she's top 5 jungle right now. I think she is. I'd say she's less than Hunsbat. I think she's less valuable than Hunsbat because she doesn't really have anything that helps the team. However, Aspect is very strong in solo because there's no anti-heal. I think you can build it, and it's really annoying when you get her half dead and you're full health and she just aspects all your health away. Very, very annoying. You can't really anti-heal it. But even non-anti-heal or non-aspect in the jungle, if you go full ability damage, that build hurts. And her 3, if you build a cooldown build, like a Hydra's Pendulum Crusher or something like that, she has so much cooldown, so she could 2 shields in a fight. I literally played Nemesis, I think, last night. We lost the game, unfortunately, because I had a ruler that was just AFK for 80% of the game, which is whatever. I had a crit Nuwa who was playing, which, by the way, Nuwa is the next. I cannot stand that god, but that's besides the point. Crit Nuwa, she was using her ult, and I would Retribution it, which is your Nemesis is 3, and it reflects damage. I killed her twice in the match with her own ultimate because she was just trying to pop off damage to get away from a fight. So I think Nemesis is very, very highly ranked. Very, very strong. I think she's top 5 jungle right now, but right at the bottom of that. I think 5. So Nuwa, B. I actually cannot stand this god. If I could put her into Rip Don't Play, I would. I actually cannot stand her as a god. maybe even down into C tier. But I think she has to stay in B tier because of her aspect. I think her aspect is much better than her non-aspect. However, I do think if you actually build a full intelligence-based build, like an ability damage-based, I think her alt and her crit alt hit basically for the same numbers. You can get like 700-800 damage with an alt on Nuwa with intelligence. Like if you went Book of Thoth, instead of going into like a full cooldown. Um, but yeah, I think she can hit. I do not like her. I think she's an alt bot. I will say that every game I play against her, I cannot stand her as a god. I love playing her because alting and doing lots of damage is fun. Um, but playing against her, I cannot stand it. Then there's the combo that I really hate when you play Nuwa and Morgan, the Morgan on the same team, and then they both she transforms, and they just basically double alt you, and it's like it's the dumbest shit. But that's why I think Nuwa is in B because her aspect does bring her up a little bit. Odin, I think Odin also is in B tier, guys. Odin is a great pick. I think he's less valuable in jungle, because I prefer to just have an assassin that does a lot more damage. But in solo, he's the only god right now that gives 100% anti-heal in his shield. And I do think he actually does counter a fair share of these higher gods, like Ares, Hercules, Chalk, Capricorn. Like he keeps them locked down, in a place which is very, very annoying. And if he jumps out, you take damage, right? So I think a lot of these gods at the top tier, Nemesis, Anubis, Huntsbat's kind of whatever. Like all these guys have leaps, and that's kind of what their thing is. But Odin alt is really what helps, and I think Odin's kind of near the top of the list. Honestly, I think Odin like he stops Artemis, he stops Hades, he stops Achilles, like he stops all of these gods here. So, and I think that's why Odin is pretty good, but I just don't think he should be played in every game. Pele's S tier. I don't care what anybody says. This god she is the true definition of a raid boss right now. You build aspect or non-aspect in the jungle or solo, she never dies. She has so much lifesteal with her inbuilt passive on her aspect and her three, or she just has so much inbuilt lifesteal on her. It's stupid. Like I don't know. She is so strong right now, and if you're not playing her, she should be banned every game. Her and Aladdin are like two of my top three bans. I think it's Aladdin, Pele, Uller for me personally. If not even Uller, I think maybe another god that which we'll get to in a minute here. But I think Pele is absolutely a must ban. She is just absolutely cracked. Poseidon. I think Poseidon's situational. Probably not at the bottom. I think he's better than Izanami and Medusa. And I think maybe like this. Actually, I think Geb is kind of even down there. So Poseidon is situational in my opinion. Um, Nemean's out there, and a lot of people are building it, so it does reflect 20% of his Kraken back at him, which is kind of iffy. I also think he really has no escape. A lot of people are like, well, he's really high potential and really high pressure. Yes, but if you have someone like a Hunsbat or a Capricorn or a Hercules that's able to pull him, or a Hu Yi, or really any of these top tier gods, they jump on him, he just disappears. Like there's nothing you can do. And I think that's Poseidon's one of his biggest negatives, is he just cannot get away without burning beads or burning basically his entire kit to hope it works. I know there's a lot of people that sit there and say, but I think that's where he lies. Princess Berry, I think, is finally in a okay spot. I think she's A tier. I wouldn't say she's much better than anything other than that. Um, I think Princess Berry is your standardized A tier god now. There was a bug going around where she was healing way too much in her ultimate when she was basically throwing her ultimate down and healing off it. I think that wasn't okay. But that's puts her in A tier. She used to be S tier for me. Basically, she was top everywhere. Um, but I don't think she's as strong as she used to be. But yeah, Princess Berry's A tier. I think with her like quick counters, like you can throw out a multiple abilities. She's still very strong, just not as strong. Raw. I actually really like Raw. This might be a counter take, but I think Raw is probably one of my favorite gods right now in mid. I think her two or his two hits absolutely like a hammer. I don't, as you guys can see, I'm not talking about his heal because his heal is pitiful. Aspect or non-aspect, you can go both of them. I think non-aspect is better than aspect because you do more damage. But I do think the aspect does have its viability, maybe in solo or sport. But I do think there's a lot of picks before that, so I'd probably put the aspect lower, probably in B tier. But I think raw aspect right now, if you go into the nimble ring build with vital amplifier, even not vital amplifier, but even just like vital amplifier, so you build Doom Orb, Spear, in my opinion, Vital Amplifier, Nimble Ring, or Rod, and then you vice versa. So if you build Nimble, you build Rod. If you build Rod, you build Nimble next. And then the last item is up to you, how you guys prefer to do it. And your A is like the amount of attack speed you get, and you're just whipping these Novas through walls and stuff like that. It's stupid. You don't even need to worry about your ult. You just basically have mini ones just whipping everywhere. I think she's really strong. The only big negative with her is that it's a diving meta. Everybody's diving right now, so she does suffer from a diving meta, which is why I think that she's kind of like in that iffy spot. Rama, I think Rama's don't play. I think Rama's, I don't know, they're both bad. I think Rama's in the don't play aspect or non-Rama. I think he's just fallen off. He's not safe. Everybody will be like, well, he can jump into the air and he can roll away. Yeah, he's just not safe. His roll's not far enough. He has no CC immunity. He doesn't CC anybody. It's really cool when you get the snipes off with his ult, but that's all he has for him. And I don't think that's enough. It's kind of like Nuwa. Nuwa ults to go up and then she comes back down. Same concept, right? And I think Rama just doesn't really bring anything to the table as carry. Scylla. I think she's right up there. And I think both aspect and non-aspect Scylla are very, very strong. I think Scylla is probably better. I think probably one of the best mages in the game right now, other than Merlin. I think Merlin, Scylla are probably like my top two mages, maybe even top three. Yeah, top two mages. I think she hurts. She hurts. She does a lot of damage. You can go the cooldown build, so you're constantly spamming out abilities. You can go the full damage build and just pop out big nubbies. You can go solo or support aspect with slightly tanky, and because you build all mana, she still does quite a bit of damage, and she still does a lot of stuff, and you're constantly in the fight because you're Scylla, right? So you're a supporter, you're a solo, so you're constantly in the fight. I think Scylla is heavily slept on. Play her more. I think she's very, very good. I think non-aspect in the jungle is cracked if you can, maneuver around with her three. She can dash under walls and over walls and stuff. Like, so good. Scylla is a must play for me. Sobek is in the A tier again. I think, somewhere in the higher ranks. I think Sobek is still a very great pick. He has the anti-heal still. He's got the pluck. He's got the execute. I don't think Sobek will ever not be in A tier. He's just your easy start of the line god. Soul. Now, I probably would have put Soul in A tier, but however, I found out recently, actually just by watching Final K's video, I think 2 days ago, that her 1 and 2 were bugged. They have been proccing on-hand items, in-hand items, and that's not a thing for her. So I think Soul is probably B tier right now. Like if you're playing right now until the bug gets fixed, she's probably A tier. She does so much damage and she can self-sustain a lane by herself, no issue. But because of that, it's all technically considered bug abusing, or I guess that's what I would call it. In my personal opinion, I'd call it that. I think she is B tier. Yep, I think she's B tier. Probably in the middle here somewhere. She's better than a lot of other mages in my opinion. I'd pick Soul over Kukulkan. I'd pick Soul over Hecate. I'd pick Soul over Afra. I'd pick Soul over Nuwa. Like honestly, she's probably in the higher ranks of mages. I think Soul is very, very strong. She just doesn't have enough oomph in her armor or her kit anymore. And once she uses her kit, she's kind of a one-trick pony. She throws out her whole kit, and then you can kind of just kill her. And I find that a lot of the time that yes, she may be able to box you, but as long as you got a good support or a good solo in front of you, you can basically box her back. Susano, top 5 jungler for me. Hmm. Yep, I would say he's above Huntsbats and Nemesis. I'd say Susano is absolutely correct right now. With his AA canceling, the amount of sheer damage he can put out early game, the amount of sheer damage he can put out mid game, the amount of sheer damage he can put out late game. He can 100 to 0 people mid game, no issue. He can 2-on-1, no issue. He can juke people with his 3 and his 1, and he causes so much a headache. And he kind of builds really good into the whole Crusher Heartseeker meta right now, which is what's going on. So Susano is a must pick for jungle in my opinion. Very top there. I'll be making a top 5 jungle list, and he's going to be on it, likely be on it. So he'll probably be like second or third place. Thanatos, I think, is B. I thought he was going to do a lot better with the item changes, with Reaper and all of that, and I think he's good. I just don't think he's cracked anymore. I think he's okay. But yeah, I don't think he deserves any other spot than the B tier. I think he's like your standardized jungle. Like he's better than Loki and all of them, wherever I put Loki. I think he's better than Loki. Much better than Fenrir, I think. I don't think he's better than Mercury, even with Mercury's bugs. But yeah, Thanatos is Thanatos. Like I don't really know, his scythe. He's still all about the accuracy of his hits. If you can't hit his stuff, he kind of just falls over. There's not really much you can do about it. So Morgan, B tier. I think top tier Morgan players are A tier, probably high A tier, even S tier. But you don't find those very often. It's hard to find a very, very strong Morgan player. I myself am not one. I think she's very good. I just think she has capabilities as far as you're going, right? I've seen a lot of people try her out, and I've seen a lot of people suck with her. I've seen other people try her out, and I've seen people really good with her. So, but I don't think I've ever seen like a top tier player with her. So I think Morgan, she's just a good mid pick. She has the pressure. She can build into poly. She can build into these items that are really good in mid lane right now, and she cracks damage pretty good. So I would only play her in mid. I know there's been a lot of people playing her in support. I think solo you might be able to get away with Morgan as well. If you kind of build a little bit hybridy, but I still think Morgan's a mid laner. Thor. This might be controversial. I think Thor is cracked. Um, I'd say he's right up there with Bologna. I think. Let me put Bologna and Thor up here. I think Bologna is not as good as either one of these. Actually, yeah, probably. I think Thor is a very very strong solo. So Thor, the reason that people would I think rank him lower is they don't know how his combo works, and they can't hit his ult. I think Thor has heavy potential. You can get top mitigated in games with Thor at the same time getting top damage in Thor. Like there's a build in solo that's kind of whipping around. It was on Final Case channel, so please go check it out. I can't remember exactly what it was. It had to do with Pendulum. Prophetic is a second item, so you get tanky, and then Shifters is a third item or second defensive item. It was damage, prophetic damage, shifters, and then I think two more tanky items. And you put a bunch. You can put anemia in, you can put contagion, whatever you want. And the dude cracks out damage at the same time being very very tanky. He still has his ult to get away. He still has his one to get away. He's very versatile. The only thing I find is he's not as good in the jungle as solo. I think he's much much better in solo than jungle. But that doesn't mean he can't crack damage on jungle. Like I still think Susanoo is way above him in jungle damage. But yeah, Uller S tier. I hate this god, and it's not because I'm not good with him. I just hate playing against him. Uller will 100 to 0 people with 3 to 4 items. Full carries, full mages, no issue. He has built-in lifesteal. He works amazing with Crusher and Heartseeker, which I think is such high in the meta right now. He's cracked. I don't know what else you're playing. If you're not getting good with Uller, I think he's probably top carry, one of the top junglers, and sorry, sorry guys, that was weird. I don't know what happened there, but my headset just turned off. We'll have to see if this is still recording. I hope it is, and if not, this has been a 30-minute waste of time. But yeah, whatever. Well, we'll whip through the last four gods here pretty quickly. So Vulcan, B tier, pretty standard, simple, no CC, high damage but no CC, so that's kind of what keeps him there. Yamoja, I think she's top of A tier. If she can control the game, I think she's an amazing support. It's just hard to find the Yamoja that can do that. I think Yamoja is very, very good. Ymir, situational. I think Ymir is heavily situational. I think people try to meme him in the jungle. He's okay. I think his support game is annoying at the start because a lot of people don't know how to play against him, but very, very mid tier in my opinion. He's just a very, very annoying god with his walls. So I think, situational is probably right up in there. I don't see why I would put him any higher. Unless I do. I think I may end up putting him a little. No, nope. I think Ymir sits in C tier. I think he's better than Geb, but I don't think he's much better. And then Zeus, I think, is the bottom of B tier. I think Zeus, you can even argue going down into C tier. Yeah, Zeus just has no CC, high damage, but basically once you jump on him, if he does not kill you, you kill him, and it's pretty straightforward. It basically just turns into a battle of the death because he can't get away. But yeah, so that is the tier list, guys. Aspects, I don't have access to them, but this is it. Casual early ranks, I think these gods are great. Like I said, must bans, great picks, good picks, situational picks, and don't plays. I think these two are going to be stuck down here for a little bit longer, but we'll see how that goes. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you guys enjoyed the information that I provided, and I will see you guys in the next one. I'll be starting off the top 5 series here, probably right after this. Probably record all these in the same day, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying them, and I'll see you guys in the next one, the next one, the next one. Peace.